The one thing I liked about the Benghazi story was that the administration started to fight back a little bit yesterday, and always when they take a more aggressive tone, I hope they'll learn from it and take a more aggressive tone on everything and stop extending the hand to shake hands with people who want to impeach you.
Just want to rip your hand off.
Over
right.
nothing. What do you think? Obama had a quote today about Rush Limbaugh that he fears that he thought the 2012 election might sort of shake some Republicans into stop being afraid of Rush Limbaugh, but he thinks they're still afraid of them. But he's like, he said this at a fundraiser in New York. He's like, but I'm getting there. No, you're not. No, they're not. And you know who else is afraid of Rush Limbaugh? You're afraid of Rush Limbaugh. You're all afraid of Rush Limbaugh.
By the way, I remember when I first saw the president come out and mention something that Rush Limbaugh had said, and I don't listen to Rush Limbaugh regularly, and I thought to myself, oh.
I'm not sure. Nobody does.
Yeah, or there's a certain, it's listening to Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh is like having my head held underwater. I mean, that's why I have trouble with it. But anyway, I thought to myself, wow, I didn't know that Rush Limbaugh said that, and I wouldn't know Rush Limbaugh said that, except the President of the United States is referencing it.
That's what I mean. Obviously, he's got some listeners. He doesn't have 20 million. The radio numbers, as you know, you worked in radio early in your career. You know how radio works. It's all freaking lies. All lies. There's one guy who gets a lot of listeners. That was Howard Stern.
Right.
And when he's on Sirius, we don't even know how many he gets now. By the way, he's awesome. So here's what Obama said. My thinking was when we beat them in 2012 that might break the fever of Republicans, but it's not quite broken yet, but I'm persistent, Obama said, and I'm staying at it. I genuinely believe, he said, there are Republicans out there who would like to work with us, but they're fearful of their base and they're concerned about what Rush Limbaugh might say about them, and as a consequence, we get kind of a gridlock that makes people cynical about government. He thinks the gridlock, they're not about to break it. They want to impeach you over Benghazi or the IRS or the AP. They don't give a shit.
And you should hear them regurgitate. I mean, all of these guys, the Limbaughs, and he's the head of the parade. But you should hear the entire parade regurgitate the same stuff, which is twisted information about the administration. So you're not getting a fair shake from them anyway, Mr. Prez. So stop playing to them.
The media, I fear, will fall in line on, because they already have on Benghazi. We saw that a little bit yesterday, so I want to go back and play something very briefly that we did yesterday. On ABC this week, Martha Raddatz talking to Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed. We mentioned it yesterday. Listen to her language about having it both ways.
If the president said it was an act of terror, then why didn't that appear on the talking points? Can the White House really have it both ways?
So that's, again, not an even remotely fair question. The president called it an act of terror because it was an act of terror. And then in the talking points, which don't seem relevant, if the president said it, then that was part of the talking points, whether they were written down or not.
Jot it down.
All they did was primarily what they did was take out the references to Al-Qaeda and Ansar al-Sharia. They didn't want to make it specific. David Petraeus said we didn't want to alert the people that that was the focus of our investigation. Seems totally reasonable to me. Have it both ways. A little later in that same show, here's Jonathan Karl.
You know, Martha, you mentioned in the interview with Senator Reed that the White House has tried to have it both ways.
So they're using that language. That struck me as, wow, why are they saying that? That sounds like a Republican talking point. Well, today, in listening to a totally different interview for a totally different show, the Jimmy Dore show, listening to Darrell Issa talk to, talk to Megyn Kelly, on Fox News, listen to what Darrell Issa has to say.
Well, only the president could tell us with a straight face that there's never been any confusion and that from the beginning they said the right thing. The president can't have it both ways. He can't say that he's always been honest.
I find it
starting
incredibly hard to believe. Who do you think said that first? That came from Republicans? Or do you think Darrell Issa was watching ABC? He's like, oh, that's a great point. Yeah, I think I'll go with that the president can't have it both ways.
Yeah, the verbiage is it's eerie how it then comes out. And it's essentially parroted by everybody on the right.
We know it. That's clearly where it came from.